This will be the top 4 of the current league. I'm going first as the higher seed, and I have half the combo, sufficient number of lands, some good cantrips. I'm just going to keep it. Alright, and I won't be wanting to stifle a fetch land, having only one, so I'll just sorcery speed, portent myself. That is interesting. I think I can keep that around. Only because I have other cantrips, but seems like useful cards. Alright, it's likely to be some kind of deck with Terravor in it. Rashad Port. Okay, so Targetin or Oathpanza. We'll end of turn Impulse. And I'll take a foil. Kind of wanted the counter spell, but I'll keep it like this. Huh. They are going after my lands, but I'm out of cantrips, so down to the bottom. Oh, yeah, that was the right choice then. So my already tapped island is tapped. Make a Dreadnought, end the turn. The opponent's considering their options. This will be a very critical turn for them, obviously. Colorless land. Oath of Druids. I'm going to foil that. They could potentially keep up with my Dreadnought. And I'll hold on to the counter spell, because they don't have the mana to cast a Naturalize on me. Portent, interesting. Okay, time to attack. And I'm not going to play it. That would open the door for them to do land, port one of my 2 islands, move to the next phase, naturalize. That is it. 1 game down. I want 2 web. I want a null with the most dangerous cards being, I mean, I'd counter an oath most of the time, but a null is even more so for, it's hard to say which is better, Sylvan Library or Sphere of Resistance. They're both absolutely devastating. Anyway, what do I take out? Probably trim a foil. Misdirection seems fine. It'll be pretty common for them to have something to redirect a naturalized to. And even though I'd really like to boomerang a Sphere of Resistance or a Sylvan Library, and then I guess counter at the turn after, especially being on the draw, it just, I don't know, it seems like I have to hope to counter it or just kind of roll right past it. Yeah, I could probably cut a flash. That's the non-foil one. There we are. And they're playing land destruction, and all I have is islands, so Daze comes in. Another foil comes out. Another flash comes out. Flash gets worse when foil is decreased. And I don't want to be totally without foil. Yeah, I guess I'll just give up the other flash. It's slow and ponderous. Any last moment considerations? Furnace is no good. They might be playing red and have blasts, but still, these would be pretty narrow, and they might just be on the white version. Well, alright. Good enough hand. Let's hope for no Mox Diamond. Carpet of Flowers. Not bad. Well, just proceed onward. There we have Stifle, Counterspell, Annul. How soon am I willing to go for a Dreadnought? They're going to have 3 mana. I would definitely be overly reckless playing it immediately. Or, I don't know, maybe I should just go for it. Like, they're at a pretty good advantage if they run with this Carpet of Flowers momentum. Maybe I should just hope they don't have it. Anyway, I'll stack it like that. So if they go after my island, I can have a null up. Anyway, it is obviously a lot harder to win going second, so it just might be time to gamble. Much will depend on how this turn plays out. Hey, there we are, the white version. Ooh, Meddling Mage. Okay. I'm going to let it resolve, and I am going to lose. But I don't want them to know that I'm so short on outs to Meddling Mage, so we're just going to go through the motions here. I'll put up a fight as best I can. But having removed the boomerangs, and I don't know, I mean, I had to remove something. I am completely dead to this. But yeah, I do want them thinking I've got, like, Chain of Vapor and Powder Keg ready to go. It would definitely be to my advantage to decrease the perceived value of a Meddling Mage when they're making, I guess, for example, Sylvan Library decisions or mulligan decisions. Sylvan Library. That I counter. And I'll get to learn more about what they've got. Okay. It's the speculation version. To call when deep analysis. Pretty solid. Yeah, even just seeing that happen. Very useful info. Yeah, they're basically swimming in mana at this point. Yeah, my initial impression of the Quiet Speculation build is that it's probably best to just not go in that direction. But on the other hand, I am playing against it in the top 4 of the league, so there's definitely an argument to be made for it. It probably ties into my general dislike of Call of the Herd. I don't know, it just doesn't seem that good to me. Just all around, like I never played it in the Rock. It's probably related to the fact that its flashback costs 4. If it were just 3 and 3, I'd be much more enthusiastic. Alright, and there's no way they would expect me to not have days, at least in some numbers, so I will daze the library. Portent myself. And yeah, I mean, none of it really matters. I'll just shuffle and end. None of that stuff is going to keep me alive longer. I want to see them play a second Quiet Speculation so I can find out how many deep analysis they run. Looking at the lists I've seen, it feels like, I don't know, I feel like I'd have at least 3 deep analysis. But the ones I've seen are lighter. Right, that's 5 coming in. This will be over soon. I guess I'll gush here. Hardcast gush. And the turn, I'll discard days and days. Yeah, revealing that I have at least 3 days in the deck, that is not useful information. Opt. Put that on the bottom. Yeah, I was hoping for another Vision Charm. When they attack, I'm going to mill them. Abundance. That's a weird one. Okay. Well, learned a little bit. It's not going to change how I board or play, really. But still good to have the info. Okay. So, I want Furnace. And, I don't know, take out the other foil. The card disadvantage of foil, it really only works when, I don't know, when it really is just useless islands being discarded, or when it immediately leads to a win. Actually, I don't know, it does seem like a grindy game is not in my favor. I could just take out 4 impulse. And just have this low to the ground plan with, I make it guess like Web and Furnace are somewhat reactive, but the general plan could be to just not spend time cantripping. Just make sure I have either the combo or half the combo and at least 1 cantrip in the opening hand, and then just sort of jam it through quick. Is there anything I want to change? I could put an Essence Flare to help with Meddling Mage, but I think I'll just not. I'm okay being dead to Meddling Mage. Neither half of the combo. No cantrips except for the, I guess, sacrificing a furnace. I will mulligan. And that is acceptable. Keep, and yeah, I guess I'll send back the second furnace. It is a little bit redundant, even though 2 is, noticeably better than 1. It absolutely does make a difference, but the other stuff is more directly in service of what I'm trying to do. Annul opt portent. Yeah, I'll shuffle. Here's my island. Yeah, if they play anything off diamond on turn 1 except for Medley Mage, then I have to let it resolve, pretty much. If it's Medley Mage, obviously I have to counter it, but even if it's Sylvan Library, I feel like I probably... Alright. I'll keep the furnace, get rid of the counter spell. Yeah, I did not want that to be Medley Mage. Another Dreadnought. Alright. Use the furnace and the turn. Yeah, between the must counters and the, I guess the must counter answers and the must count I'm tripping over myself. The most counter answers and threats. It's just a ton of stuff. So I don't know. I do feel like probably banking on the fast win did make sense. But it's obviously not paying off here, and having to mulligan to 6 certainly didn't help matters than being forced to turn 2 foil. And the other half of the combo still isn't here. But yeah, over like a medium to long game, they're just going to be bombarding me. Yeah, there's Carpet of Flowers, another super high impact spell. Call of the Herd. I assume they're going to play something. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made sense to have it back up the call as Deuce Protection. No, just letting it accumulate and then go. Alright, I'll use the furnace. Hey, Stifle. And yeah, the odds aren't good here, but it's not totally unrealistic that this just gets them. So stifle the trigger and see what they have. This is highly likely to be the end of my run, but glad to be in top 4. I missed the playoffs on the first 3 consecutive leagues of this season. Playing Grizzly Fate to 4-2, foolishly trying to splash in StifleNought for 3-3 in the second. And then in the third, 4-2 with Survival Rock with the City of Brass splash. And the 4-2s were quite close to being 5-1s, but obviously weren't in the end, which is what counts. And yeah, I mean, if people are going to keep beating my pet decks, I'm going to have to do a little Dreadnought playing to up my point count. Plus, I really like this deck. I think it's really fascinating. And no matter what, there's going to be some deck that puts up slightly better numbers, or even, I guess better numbers generally would be the more accurate way to phrase it. And if one type of deck has to be the best, I think the one with no precise agreed upon optimal build is good. Having one where there are many decisions to be made in a given game, that's good. This is funny. Let's see if that sticks. And yeah, having one that's hard to play is good too. Like, this deck is not easy to pilot. Not even close. So, I mean, in my opinion, it checks all the ideal best deck boxes. Anyway, I was pretty lucky to have a second shot at the Dreadnought. Let's see where it goes. Yeah, it looks like they got it. There's port. Yeah, I was hoping for a moment that my eulogy for this league run was premature, but yeah, it was entirely justified. Gush would have been nice. And, I mean, fortunately, their board presence is not super significant. I should have, I don't know, 2 or 3 more turns to get super lucky. Notably, if they flash back 2 calls, they'll have, let's see, they've got the Wastelands, so they could potentially assemble blockers with power and toughness greater than 12, which means I would have to run this Dreadnought into, I've already gone through 2, into their wall of blockers, just flatten a bunch of them, and then kill them with the 4th Dreadnought. Yep, there's Terravor. There's an island. Okay, so let's make sure this works the way I remember. All right. Kind of like Call of the Herd. If you chopped 1 mana off Abundance, I would think it's pretty sweet, but as it is, it's, in my opinion, on the far side of the line. I really like the art, though. Rebecca Guay always does good ones. Notably, yeah, Carpet of Flowers, same artist. Carpet of Flowers might be my favorite Magic art. It's just really nice. But yeah, there's the Wasteland targeting itself that was sort of looming over me. And that might actually give me a little bit of an opening, because if they wastelanded, say, their Adarkar wastes and then had the other wasteland up, then with what they had on the board, yeah, I gotta say had in the past tense, they would have only been able to make exactly 12 powers, so it would have been like a full sweep of their board with the Dreadnought. But now they've got another call, so really just piling everything on. Alright, that is it. I will play this Dreadnought just for fun. Let it die, and then congratulate the opponent on their win. Alright, good end to the league.